and thanks to the Eagle Ski Club for inviting me and giving me a bit of time to to present our apps. So I prepared a little presentation, kind of just to give you the structure, to kind of present who I am, where I come from, and the story behind Whympr, Iphigénie, and Vamos. And then I'll present each of the apps, Whympr, Iphigénie, and the Vamos books, which we acquired last year. And then, yeah, just kind of present you the global project, our vision, and how we see digital and mountain activities. And that should probably take around 30 minutes or so. And then I'll be happy to answer any questions and just discuss with you guys on the topic. Yeah, first of all, so as Tim said, my name is Tim MacLean. Just to give you a bit of background, who am I? Well, first of all, as my name does not say it, I am from a Chamonix family. My mother is a Devoiseux. For those who came to Chamonix, you probably saw the bell factory at the entrance of the town. My cousin is still managing the bells. It's been in the family for 7 generations. I think the first bell maker was before the French Revolution. So this is how kind of I got linked to the mountains, to activity. Chamonix has always been my base camp. I am living in Chamonix now. I still have some family around, and yeah, so I'm a mix between the Chamonix family with this heritage, and which allowed me to discover this and appreciate and love this beautiful place in the mountains. And on the other side, MacLean, as you may have guessed, this is not French. My dad was Canadian. I'm also Canadian. I have the double nationality. The name is originally from Scotland, and yeah, and as a Canadian, my first passion was hockey even before the mountains. So I still play hockey here with the old guys in Chamonix. But this is kind of the mix of the two cultures. And this is why I do have a little accent. But my dad speaking English to me all my life helped me with the English. And besides that, as Tim introduced, I'd say my career or path. I studied business. I studied entrepreneurship. That's kind of always a bit of a passion for me. And but the first 10 years of my career, I spent it in big companies and mainly Apple. And this is a Apple shop. This is what I did for like 7 years, was to work on these projects as a project manager in marketing to implement this kind of merchandising all around Europe. So worked well, in the UK would be Dixon's, in France would be Fnac, in Germany would be MediaMarkt. So super interesting job, lots of traveling, meeting lots of great people. And that's what I did for 10 years. First, initially 5 years in France and 5 years in London. Yeah, having a good time there and learning what it is working in a big company. But after, let's say, 10 years, 7 years at Apple, I was probably like most of the people out there, or most of you, is I was working most of my days in a big city, and whenever I could, I would come back to Chamonix. Once I finished kind of my hockey career, I got more into mountain activities, so climbing, ski touring, mountaineering, or just hiking or mountain biking, whatever conditions are there, just be outside. And as you see on the picture, well, there's me there in the front, and just behind me is my cousin Xavier. And that's kind of the story of the app, the origins, is, well, just coming back from a nice climb. We're just chatting about everything and anything, and just thinking, hey, why isn't there a place where we can find all the information we need to go in the mountains? Basically, this is a picture I took once, and experiences, as you all know, well, you're going to have to get lots of information. And today, the information is kind of spread out everywhere. So you would have your classic maps to prepare your route. You would then look in your topo books. I have a nice collection here. I love just looking into them, finding ideas, seeing old routes. You would, of course, look at the weather forecast. And it's this season, you're going to look at the avalanche bulletin, and you're going to go on Google, try to find some information, find Facebook groups or websites like Camp to Camp, Ski Tour, just gathering all this information everywhere. And of course, you're going to pick up your phone and you're going to call your buddies or your friend guide, maybe just to get a bit of information because you know someone went in that area. So yeah, just kind of walking the mountains, coming back, and we're just like jokingly saying, okay, well, why isn't there an app where you can find all this information? The information is out there. It would be great to have it somewhere just to simplify your life and get all that information and get good information. And the better information, as you know, well, the better choice you can make, the more secure and the more secure place you can go. So just started from there. And in the evening, we're in Chamonix. Just said, hey, Xavier, come on home. Let's have a beer and let's just start doing a few drawings, putting ideas on an Excel sheet. And that's when it started in 2016. And that's where the idea of Whympr came up. So this is what Whympr looks like today. I'll show you in more details how it works, but yeah, this is how it all started, like 7, almost 8 years ago. So time is flying. And so, where do we stand today? So first of all, kind of what were the steps, just briefly. So as I told you, we had the idea in the summer of 2016. Putting some drawings up there. As I said, I'm a project manager. Xavier, he's a digital designer. He's based in Copenhagen, although he was born in Chamonix, so he's like the real Chamonix. And based on that, I started working on it in evenings, building a business plan, starting to understand, okay, is there a model? Can we live out of this? Is there a potential? And after a few months, I just thought, wow, this project is great. And just thinking, oh, if I do this, I have to go to Chamonix. I have my roots there. I was lucky enough to have my parents at a chalet, so I could like stay there for a bit. And the decision at one point was just taken was like, wait a second, if I don't make this decision now, in 10 years' time, I'll be in a big company. I'll probably live my life or whatever, but always regret. So that's the moment where, beginning of 2017, I resigned from Apple, took my stuff, and let's say 2 months later, I was in Chamonix, starting to work on Whympr and trying to build it. That's when I created the company in 2017. And the first 2 years as a startup, wasn't making any money. So I was kind of doing Airbnbs, cleaning up chalets, and working on Whympr on the side. Until a little bit of traction came up, the idea was to create a first product. And that's after a year of work, we managed to do a first round of fundraising. So that's when I was able to start working full time on the project, bringing out a couple little salaries in order to start growing the project. And as we went, we developed, brought innovation. We did a second fundraising in order to acquire the Iphigénie app. So again, next slides, I'll present you Whympr, Iphigénie, what they do, what they are. But that was a big step because Iphigénie is a reference in France as it was the first mapping app where you could get hygiene on your phone. So Iphigénie has hundreds of thousands of users. Most of the guides in Compétiteur en Montagne or even firemen in France use it. So that allowed us to go another step. And last year, the most recent step, we acquired the company Vamos, which is a guidebook edition company from a Chamonix guide called François Burnier, with who we worked in Whympr, and he wanted to pass his business, and we just thought it was a great opportunity to show to everyone how paper and digital can work together. Again, I'll show you later more details about it. So that's kind of where we're at today in terms of structure. Just a few numbers, so you see what kind of audience we're talking about today. With the two apps, we're talking about over 125,000 users every month, unique users that come and use our apps. We have over 300,000 route descriptions for hiking, climbing, ski touring, mountaineering, even snowshoeing. We have over 1,000 route descriptions that come from professional guidebooks and guides. So we have Vamos, but we also do partnerships with other editors. And today in Iphigénie mainly, we have over 70 maps and layers to play with. And just to give you also an idea of the team, so we are a French company. All our companies are based in Chamonix. This is how the staff is spread out. Today we're, I think, 23 people working on all projects. So yeah, we're growing, knowing that we're kind of still startup mode where we're using a lot of freelance. I think we're 7 official employees, and lots of people are working part-time. The idea being also that we want people who can enjoy the outdoors at the same time as they're working for us. So we do have a Chamonix heart. We're 5 people around Chamonix, then spread out in France. Have people a bit everywhere, Grenoble, Chambéry, but Paris or even Bordeaux. And now we even have people just working wherever they want, as long as they're good people. So we have a person in Bali, we have a person in Tokyo, or as I said, Xavier is in Copenhagen. So what's our vision with the different products? Just to give you an idea where we want to go is, first of all, Iphigénie. This is kind of the origin of the app, is to get the Hygiene map on your phone. And that's where Iphigénie is good, and it goes very far, lots of features around mapping. And our goal with Iphigénie is to continue kind of what it is today, although it is kind of dusty, but to be the best mapping app out there for amateurs, but also professionals. Iphigénie, as I said, is used by guides, is used by firefighters, is used by PGHM. So we want to continue and work with these people to make the most efficient tool, precise, stable, the best mapping app. Whympr has some mapping, but the core of Whympr is still the idea we had in 2016, is we want a platform that helps you prepare your mountain outings. Whatever the activity, if you're doing a hike to Lac Blanc or climbing Mont Blanc, you're always going to need map, you're always going to need weather forecast, you always need information. So we want to bring this platform to make it simple to use and lots of services, but you don't even realize there's that many services because it's so easy to use. That's kind of the core goal of Whympr. And often people use Iphigénie, ask us the questions like, what are you going to do? Are you going to just integrate Iphigénie in Whympr? No, the idea since the beginning is, as I said, it's the same universe. It's people who play in the outdoors use our apps, but there is kind of a different goal to them, the mapping and the preparation of an outing. So they're going to stay separate, but we're going to create links. This summer, we're planning to offer a possibility for people to buy the 2 apps for a more interesting price, be able to transfer your routes or tracks. So we're going to create links between the tools, so it makes it the most, let's say, powerful overall platform. So now a few slides just to explain you and show you the different apps and also Vamos. So Iphigénie, just for the story, it was created 12 years ago by a guy called Max Barrel. He had a basic need. He was kind of a geek in his time. He loved maps. He loved to do horse riding, and he loved iPhones. And he just wanted Hygiene on his phone. So Hygiene wasn't doing anything, so he said, I'm going to do it. And that's how it started. And he created Iphigénie. It's a mix of 3 words, which is iPhone, if, Hygiene, and génie informatique, which is genius for computer genius, basically. And that's what created Iphigénie. And so today, Iphigénie, as I said, has around 70 maps and different layers. Lots of maps coming from Hygiene, a specific 3D also for the Hygiene map, but not only. And people don't always know this, but we have a lot more maps. Sorry. You of course have the satellite map, you have the open topo map, which covers the world, but then you have specific country maps like Swiss Topo, Hygiene Belgique, Hygiene Spain, the cadastre in France. So yeah, lots of layers and different maps to play with. And our goal will be to, that's going to be a next step, is going to be to add more and more quality maps in there. One of the key strengths of Iphigénie, and also the difference of quite a lot of apps out there, is Iphigénie allows you to select specific areas on the map to save them on your phone. Because when you're out in the outdoors, you don't always have network and you need to be able to locate yourself on the map. So that is what Iphigénie allows you to do. You select a zone, you say, I want this on my phone, whatever happens. And then when you're in the mountains, you can just locate yourself because that's a GPS signal. It's not part of the, let's say, network. And you can always locate yourself on the map. And then around that, there's lots of other features that Max and the team had created over 10, 12 years. They built everything from scratch. Quite impressive because back in the day, like it was the very first iPhones. So you can create a route. You can place your points of interest. You can, of course, share all this information. There's even a beacon feature. There's lots of stuff. All the measurements, map measurements, you can calculate your azimuth. So they went very far in kind of the mapping aspect for apps. And yeah, so there's the track creation, and then there's all the rest, as I said, waypoints, coordinates, beacon. They even created, they were the very first to create 3D on mapping. I was like, I don't know, like 7 years ago. Wasn't that known because they were kind of very geeky. So when we bought Iphigénie, for instance, no one knew there was 3D because you had to tap 3 times with 2 fingers. And we said, well, you should put a button, and that just went like a little wow effect. And they built that out of nothing. Like today, as Whympr, for instance, we use a lot of things that already exist to use the best tools. They created a whole 3D engine. So it is quite impressive when you put your nose into the code in there. So that's Iphigénie. Very brief. Just to let you know, there's so much to do with Iphigénie. Today, there are people that are Iphigénie trainers that have studied the app with not doing anything with us. Now we're working with them a bit, but they do trainings over 1 day, 2 days to really master the tool. But this is the basic that you do with Iphigénie. And just on the model, so we have a basic app which is free, where you have 20 maps, like Open Topo map, for example. And then you pay £25 a year, 25 euros, and then you get access to all the maps and all the features like the offline or the track creation. And we do have a few specific maps that you have to pay extra because we have different models with them, like Hygiene Belgium. And we are working on a quality Italy map subscription. So hopefully that will come up this summer. Now for Whympr. So Whympr, just for the little story, I mean, most of you are familiar with this. It does come from Edward Whympr. I'm a big fan of mountain books and mountain history. And yeah, I just thought Whympr reflects a lot of good things, like the international aspect of the mountains. He was a pioneer in the golden age. We just thought, well, right now it's kind of the digital age, so why not do a little Whympr? We're not putting the E between the P and the R, also kind of, it's more digital. And that's kind of where we want to go. It's always been kind of the philosophy. We think digital can really help. We see it with Iphigénie. All the guides have it in the pocket. We think there's a lot more that innovation can bring and help us with our activities and our passion. So, as I said, Whympr is to prepare your outings. That's the heart of it. So, first thing is you can find route descriptions. Today we have over 350,000 routes. What we do is we gather routes from databases, which we consider are quality databases, even if it's community managed. There is some checking of the routes. There is some validation. So, for instance, you're going to find the camp-to-camp routes. You're going to find the ski tour. We're working with tourist offices, and more recently, we just signed a partnership with Gulliver, which is kind of the Italian camp-to-camp. So this summer, you're going to find all the Gulliver routes in there. So lots of hiking, climbing, ski touring, all the mountain activities in there. And then the second level, and this is also at the core of the philosophy of Whympr, was there is a battle between some topo guidebooks editors and what you can find for free on the internet. And we always said that both worlds can live together because the topo book, it's a real work from someone who spent time, who did the drawing, and that has value. And we think putting them together and giving the choice to users makes sense because you're not going to find all the routes in topo books. So that's where the strength of the community is. But if you want something quality, if you want to pay a bit so that your climbing wall stays equipped in France, for example, then we think people will make the effort to pay €2-3 to buy those routes or buy them digitally. And then around that, there's the content, but of course you need mapping. You need to locate yourself. You need to be able to see the maps offline. You have to be able to create tracks. So this also has been developed on Whympr. You're going to say, hey, but that's the same as Iphigénie. Yes, there are some features that are similar, but we're never going to go as far in terms of mapping tools that Iphigénie. In Whympr, we're never going to be able to calculate the azimuth, see the different types of coordinates. We're not going to go as far. So, but you need mapping. Mapping is very important and is one element key. For instance, on this first picture, you see these little blue icons. So we represent points of interest, which are summits, passes, lakes, huts. So on the map, that's our main screen where people kind of navigate, filter, find what they're looking for, and get the information. And then there's all the conditions. So we work today with Meteo Blue to be able to give, let's say, mountain weather forecast to the point of interest. So today, you'll have a weather forecast that's different from the summit of Mont Blanc compared to the summit of Brévent, for example, and trying to think mountains. So you have the 4 previous days, what happened, because it's interesting to know, okay, where was the freezing level? Did it snow? Did it rain? That will tell you something about the conditions on the day. And of course, you have the conditions for the next 4 days. You will find the avalanche bulletin. Same thing, something that always frustrated me. I sometimes move around and I'm never sure which kind of range it is. Is it Mont Blanc? Is it Aravis? Is this mountain here or there? Well, now I just can look on the summit or say which city or mountain I'm looking for, and I will get the avalanche bulletin of the moment for that range. So we are doing the links. We have it with France. We have it with Switzerland, with the US. We will have it for Italy next winter and probably others. So giving a complete service. But right now you can already test it if you're around Chamonix or in France or Switzerland to see what's the actual avalanche bulletin. And of course, community. Often people said, oh, you're just like a Facebook for the mountains. Not really, but we think community is important because community helps you, on top of like descriptions, give you fresh information. So today, thanks to a community, you're going to be able to see, I don't know, you want to do a Aiguille du Midi, you're going to check the Aiguille du Midi route, and you're going to see all the guys who posted today, yesterday, see what kind of conditions. You're going to be able to comment, talk with them. If you're doing mountaineer, say, okay, is the Rime going to pass, the Bergschrong, or yeah, just kind of use community to bring fresh information. And on top of community, there's, well, first of all, the first element is if you add content. So this is always something, it's kind of stupid, but I love to do all the mountains I climb or ski, that I had my little Excel and try to remember everything. Well, now I have my logbook on Whympr, I get my stats, I get my pictures, I get all the things that I did. And that is kind of a virtuous circle because I'm posting this and sharing this, then other people can get information, see my pictures, exactly where I took them on the mountain. And you can comment and like, of course, and get your stats. So that's kind of the core of Whympr today. There's a lot more to develop. I'll tell you a couple words on that later, but objective again is gathering all the information, making it easy to have it in your pocket and help you find ideas. I use it a lot, for example, when I go climbing in the summer, just say, I want to climb something in 5B, not too far from me, and I will find ideas of crags to go climb. Same thing for ski touring. That's what I did also this winter. So the model is kind of like Iphigénie, it's freemium, where you have a basic app, which is free. Route descriptions, logbook, everything around security, like the avalanche bulletin or the slope angles, you can access that for free. Then you pay £25 a year to get access to all the features. And there's the concept of, we call it pro topos, where we digitalize content from topo editors, and you can buy it. You can buy the digital version, and then we're kind of like just a distributor for a library in the city. We have a model where we redistribute the part of the sale to the offer to the editor. And just to give you a bit more information on this, because this was also this is something new. I know it interested a lot the ski club, the Alpine Club. So first of all, as I said, the concept of pro topo. So we digitalize all the routes. Today we have over 1,000. We work with I think 10 or 11 editors now. We kind of focus right now on Chamonix, but now we're expanding. So we have, for instance, Damilano, Gilles Bruno in the Arve Valley, all the Vamos that we purchased, but also we do have the Calanque in Marseille. We have Gorge du Verdon. So we're starting to have lots of climbing areas and more hiking. Around the Chamonix area, you're going to find all the ski touring, all the off-piste that we find in the Vamos books, for example. And the concept is very simple. You can access stuff, but if you want to see the description, if you want to see the pictures, then you pay 2, 3, 4 euros, or you can buy the whole pack, which represents all the routes that are in the book for the same price as the book in the library. And that brings me to the books. So yeah, as I said, Vamos, we're working with Francois because we're digitalizing his topos in our app. He liked the idea. We worked with him for 2-3 years. We're getting on really well, and just came up and said, "Well, guys, I'm getting older. I like to pass my business. I would like my books to live on." And we just thought, well, hey, that could be a great story, and we think there's something to do to show the world that, because of course there's always people who kind of are scared of change and they're saying, yeah, digitalize, you're going to kill the books. And we, again, there see it's not about killing, it's that it brings something new and it can help both businesses. And so we thought, okay, well, yeah, we're in Chamonix. Clément, which is a good friend, who's the president of the CAF of Chamonix, was up for it. So that's also an important part. Otherwise, I would not have gone in this direction. So he's taking care of this section of the business. He's an author on the latest books, and just thought, okay, let's do this and let's show everyone that these two things work together and they're not against each other. And that's so just to show you kind of the recent books that we created. So we're really proud of this one. This came out end of December in French. Because they're so successful, we really worked really hard to get it, I think, beginning of February in English. So this is the 80 ski touring routes, the classics around the Mont Blanc, where you will find, I'll show you an example later, but you'll find all the key information while you know topo books. And this one was created really, this was the first one where we created everything. So as you see, the authors are Clément Guillot, as I said, who's taking care of the business, who's accompagnateur and president of the Chamonix Alpine Club. Christophe Leviev, who's another friend, who's the hut keeper of Le Couvercle. And they created and wrote and took most of the pictures of all the routes in there. And that has been really working well this winter. And on top of that, we have all the other books that are still out there, like the Off-Piste in Chamonix. We even have Off-Piste in Val d'Isère and Tignes. And we also have ski touring in Vanoise and Tarentaise. So all the routes from Val d'Isère, Pralognan. And just a little promotion, I just thought we should do something special for you guys listening to us, if it's of interest to you. But if you go on the Vamos website today, we are giving you a special offer, 50% off on the Vanoise and Tarentaise ski tour. So for 12 euros. So a bit of promotion. Just if some of you are interested, it is in English, fully in English. So we thought that could be of interest to you guys. All these books are either available in English, like Ski Touring in Chamonix, Vanoise Tarentaise, or Off-Piste and Val d'Isère. They are French and English. So these are all with English versions. And then the concept of paper plus digital. So the idea here was to say, okay, I have my book. I love these books. I love to have them in my library. I love to, as I said, read and find ideas, or even look at old ones and see what people did in the past. And it's part of the history of the mountain. So for me, it's like super important. But paper has its limits. Like you get the basic information, you have limited space. Clément and Christophe innovated. You see there's the croquis at the bottom, where you see kind of another way of looking at the outing, like where are the danger, the inclinations, how steep stuff is, where do you get your bus. You have the map, you have the picture, and then a brief description of the outing. But there's limits there because usually we have more pictures. The map, you can't really play with it. So that's where the digital comes in really handy. So we just thought, okay, how do we go from the paper to the digital version? So we put a QR code on every outing. And this is going to be the norm for all the next Topo books, where you can just at home scan your QR code, get on the app, get all the information, get the mapping, save it offline. So when you go out there, you don't need to put your bag in your, you don't need to put your book in your bag. You can look at yourself. You're going to be able to see the avalanche bulletin of the day, of the moment, see the weather forecast, see if someone did it yesterday. So yeah, bring all that strength of the app straight from the book. Just scan it and then say, okay, this is going to be the one I want to do tomorrow. You can take 2 or 3, and if you're going in the same area, so you just make sure you have all the information with you. So it's just a little QR code, but it really changes a lot of things and it really makes life a lot easier. So that's been produced in the ski touring Topo book that you can find on our website, that you can find in all the libraries around Chamonix, and also the main ones in London were distributed by I think it's called the Books. So there's also some of them out there in England, in the UK. So yeah, so that's papers. Again, sorry, I don't see the comments, so if there's any questions, I'll get back to them at the end. And I'm almost done. I'm just going to give you a bit of a peek view of what's coming. So the next step for us, we're continuing to grow. We have lots of ideas. First thing is you're going to see more and more links between Iphigénie and Whympr. That's coming very soon. So it's been taking a lot of our time recently, but we're getting there. On the Iphigénie side, this is what a lot of people reproach to the app. It was built 12 years ago. Didn't have any norms in terms of apps, of usage of the apps, of buttons and stuff. So we're doing a full revamp, and we're going to simplify the whole app. So throughout the year, you're going to see improvements of how to use features and really be able to use the app without getting a training. Today, we have created a lot of tutorials on our website. So in case you're interested, feel free to go on the website, iphigene.ie. Because once you understand the logic of Iphigénie, it becomes super powerful. But we know that people are not used to it anymore, and that's why we're doing a big work to really give it an upgrade. So over the year, it's going to become really a lot easier to use, and we think by then we'll really be able to be once again one of the key players in mapping. New guidebooks coming up. So for this summer, we have the Walker's Guide. We produced it in French last year, so we're doing the English version. It should be released in April. We are doing a full revamped mountaineering guidebook. We had an old version. It's really for people who are starting to mountaineer on their own, kind of like my level, coming out of an Alpine Club. I am also at the London Alpine Club. I'm not going to do hard stuff, but I like to do it on my own. So these are kind of the key outings out there to start your mountaineering activity. And one classic that we will have to reproduce this summer is the crag climbs. So if you go to Les Gaillons in Chamonix, most of the time you're going to see a lot of different versions of the Chamonix Topo book. So these are all kind of the climbs in the valley of Chamonix. And of course, all of these will have the QR code. Sorry, I'm coming back here. And one thing I did not mention, which is important, is also when you buy one of our guidebooks of Vamos, you have a special code inside the book that gives you access to all the digital routes. So we're not going to ask you to pay double the price. If you bought the book, we consider the digital as part of the service. So you just fill out the process and you will be sent all the digital routes on your phone on Whympr. And on Whympr, this is, I think, the last slide. Not giving out too much, but right now we took all this time and now we're getting at the point where we have a good development team, so we're starting to be able to go faster and faster. For me, we kind of got the basics out there. So we have a good app where you have the mapping, you can create a route, you can see the community feedback. And now we have lots of ideas around innovation. So the objective is to bring new services that people maybe don't have on their phones yet, that are going to help people practice their activities, their ski touring, their off-piste, or their hiking or mountaineering. And just a few innovations we brought so far. Well, the Pro Topos, as I said, that's something that doesn't really exist in this space and that we're developing. The concept of recent outings. So if you go on the map, it's in French, the screenshot, but top left is a recent outing. So you can just look at the community outings. But for us, the community outings are only interesting if they're recent. So that's why you see here that you have an outing that was done yesterday or day before, up to 10 days. And once those 10 days are passed, then they're not going to appear on the map anymore. Again, this is kind of a difference for us compared to, let's say, an Alltrails or someone. For example, Alltrails is going to say, everyone, come and create tracks on my app, and that's going to create value the more tracks we have. We are different. We're saying community feedback is good for information, but we cannot trust someone who created a track if it's not verified. So that's why we're not going to take it in our database. We're going to use data that is more or less verified. So you have the free stuff coming from different websites or the professional stuff. So that is also something where we're quite different than other apps out there. And then also this exists in a couple apps, but we developed our own version of Peak Viewer. It is available on iOS right now. The objective will be to put it on Android this summer. And these are just a few examples of innovation thanks to digital apps, and there's a lot more coming up. And the last point is we're quite French right now. 90% of our users are French. The app is available in French and English, but clearly the next steps are going international. So we just launched the Italian app a month ago. Already we have half of our downloads are coming from Italy right now. The German app is coming out in a couple weeks. So yeah, we're gonna try to really have all the information around the apps, and then once we're there, we'll see where we go. But clearly, the objective is to go international. And that's it for me. And yeah, just a little quote I think is really adapted, and we use it since the start from Edward Whympr. The thing to be wished for is not that the mountains should become easier, but men should become wiser and stronger. And we think the wiser can come thanks to some of a little bit of digital help. So
great, thanks, Tim. I must admit I've got a better understanding now, because of what I didn't quite understanding when I was reading it originally about the connection between the three elements that you were talking about, the Whympr, the Iphigénie, and the Vamos books. So I think I've got a better understanding of that, but maybe explore that a bit more in the questions and answers. We've got quite a few questions, so I'll just read them as they've appeared. If I can start at the beginning. Got from Jeremy Bezic, who's asking about whether it's available on all platforms.
Yes, Iphigénie is available on Android and iOS, so iPhone and Android. And we even have versions for Mac and PC. That's an extra tool. It's a one-off cost of 25 euros to be able to then use Iphigénie on your computer and on your phone. And to find that, all you need to do is go on our website, and you can find all the links to download the different versions.
Okay, and next one's from Mandy Perkins, is a guide based in Chamonix. And this is one, this is a question that I was also thinking about, because there is obviously a lot of competition out there with regard to digital apps and mappings and that sort of thing. And he's saying, I've used Outdoor Active for many years. What's your opinion of Outdoor Active versus Iphigénie?
Yeah, there's a lot of good apps out there. Outdoor Active is one of them. They're the German app. I think that they do have a really good app. It's well designed. They created something that is a good business. I think compared to Iphigénie, well, the first approach is to say Iphigénie is more complicated to use. As I said, it was developed 12 years ago and has its own logic. But once you master that logic, I think Iphigénie is a stronger mapping app. Again, if you're looking to save a map, to play with the track, to look at different types of coordinates, for me, Iphigénie is a stronger tool than Outdoor Active. Outdoor Active is kind of a mix. I also consider it as a competition for Whympr. It's maybe less mountain oriented, even though they're going more and more in that direction, trying to go on all the different fields. So yeah, that's how I see Outdoor Active. So yeah, it is a good app, but I think there's some spots where we are a bit better on Iphigénie and Whympr. It really depends what you're looking for.
Okay, and another one from Jeremy, which is sort of answered towards the end, which was regard to which areas do you cover, and he's asking whether it covers Austria, Bavaria, Südtirol, and the Julian Alps. So that was the future of the development of the app, wasn't it?
Well, that's more the future, let's say, yes, for Whympr in particular, of course, because we have to do a localization, we have to find more and more content. So we are going to go more and more in those areas. For me, you can't really use the app if you don't have like the avalanche bulletin, if you don't have the slope angle, if you don't have the right map. So these are things that we're going to work on. But on Iphigénie, we do have people that use it all around the world. Because there is Open Topo Map, which covers the world. So for example, we do have people in the Himalayas who will be able to find maps, to save parts of the map on their phone, but based on the Open Topo Map. So Iphigénie is available worldwide. Whympr also has a worldwide map. But to be fair, we do not have today the like IGN of those areas in Iphigénie or Whympr.
Okay, right. And question from Ella. We've asked about whether it's on different platforms, but does it work on any phone? So presumably, yeah, because there are some new Chinese phones coming through on different platforms.
Well, it will only work on iOS and Android. So
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tim. Sorry to interrupt you. The question was whether the GPS function will work on any phone with the downloaded map. So no signal,
yes.
Downloaded map.
Yes. Basically, the concept that sometimes is not very clear is that you have the network to download, for instance, maps on your phone. And for instance, if you don't have any network, no 3G, no 4G, then you're in the outdoors and you're not going to be able to load the map you want. So that's why it's interesting to be at home with your network. Say, I want all this section of the, I don't know, Mont Blanc range, so I know it's on my phone. And the GPS is, in fact, the satellites that locate us, locate our phone. So that is always available out there. Well, when I say always, you have to be careful, because in some instances, even you're in like in a hole, in a cave, in some of those areas, the satellites won't be able to reach you. But in most of the, I can't give you percentages, but GPS will always be able to, well, most of the time be able to find you. So that's the blue dots. So for instance, if you hadn't downloaded the map on your phone and you'd be in the outdoors, you would have the blue dot, but with nothing around. So it wouldn't be very useful. So it's the combination of those two that makes it interesting. Does that answer your question, Ella?
Yes, because I, for instance, have the latest iPhone, which has a satellite locator, but that's something different again, isn't it? That's on the latest iPhone, you can call emergency services on your phone without any signal through the satellite locator. And that's quite different then to the GPS function you're talking about, which works on any previous phone.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, yeah, great, thanks.
Well, I must upgrade my phone there, Ella, so I feel left out now. Got a comment from Phil. He's basically said that the paid topos work really well on Whympr. Do you want to expand on that a bit, Phil?
You can. It's more of a summer climbing thing, I think, isn't it, Tim? But yeah, you can buy a pack for a crag, and they're really good. It's cheap and it works really well, actually.
Oh, thanks, Philip. Well, it's for the crags, but also for the winter. I mean, if you're around Chamonix, we do have all the off-piste, all the ski tours, all the snowshoeing, so yeah, and the hiking. So it works for all the activities. So you can, as I said, you can either buy the topo book and get them with the topo book, or if you just want a sector, if you're just coming for 3 days in Chamonix and you're just climbing a certain crag, well, you pay a few euros and you don't need to buy the whole book.
Okay, and a question from Declan. He's talking about a handheld GPS unit allows you to actively navigate to a waypoint using a live compass bearing, time to destination, etc. Do you think the mobile phone mapping technology will be able to match this in the future? It's a bit of an open question there.
Yeah, I think there's always going to be, if you build a specific product for a specific usage, and you use the latest technology, I think you're always going to be able to have maybe a step in front of the phones. I mean, if you want to go tracking today, your phone isn't going to track as well as the latest Sunto or Garmin watch. So I think there's always space. It's good. There's innovation in these products, and little by little, as phone technology is catching up, we'll get there. But so yeah, I think these specific products will always have an extra benefit, and that's why there's also an extra cost when you buy these.
But what you can do on Whympr, which I find very useful, is it's easy to get a distance and a bearing. I think you showed me how to do that, Tim, actually, by putting 2 fingers on the screen.
That's on Iphigénie, the 2 fingers.
On Iphigénie, rather. Yeah, on Iphigénie.
Yeah.
Which in fact has been lost on the most recent Swiss Topo. They've removed, actually, because obviously Iphigénie hasn't got grid lines, has it?
No. You can put UTM and stuff, but no, you don't have grid lines on the map.
Yeah. So actually, but that function to get distance, I find very, very useful, and that gives you a compass bearing. So you can just get a distance and a compass bearing, and then get your compass out. So that works very well, I find.
Yeah, that's a little trick, because nothing indicates it in the app. There's little hidden tricks like that in Iphigénie. 2 fingers and you get your distance and direction. Yeah.
So can I take it then, Phil, that you weren't aware of that 2-finger thing before?
No, I asked Tim. I said to him, why haven't you? Because obviously one of the big problems with phone apps is distance, isn't it? Because you zoom in, you really haven't got any idea of scale. Unlike a paper map, you haven't got an idea of scale really, because you zoom in. So you do need some distance clue. But yeah, if you put on Iphigénie, if you put one finger and the next finger, you get distance and a compass bearing, which is super useful, actually, really useful.
Oh, I see. Right, I'm with you now.
Yeah.
Understand the two-finger thing now.
Yeah.
Right, got another question from Andy P. A few of us in the Eagles are working on trying to get the BERA, B-E-R-A. I don't know what that is, unless Andy P wants to.
It's the avalanche bulletin.
The avalanche bulletin in France, translated into English. Météo France are not that interested. Would you be interested in talking to us about that?
Yeah, I mean,
I know this is a bugbear of Andy P's for quite a while because the translation doesn't tend to be very good. And you have to go back to the French to get the full bulletin. And maybe that's what he's talking about.
I mean, again, I think technology can help us improve information, and that's one of them. Yeah, I'd be happy to talk about it and try to just brainstorm on the topic. Of course, the touchy point will be if we want to translate something every day at 4 p.m. We probably would need to use a artificial intelligence tool or something. And then if you translate it, that level of detail in the terms, because how they create the bulletin is very specific of how they say things, could be lost. But I think there is something to do, and we should probably dig into it. So, I mean, I'd be happy to.
Yeah,
talk
hi
about
Tim. Nice
Yep.
to meet you. I'm in Kupo, so we're not very far away. I'm real busy with the ski season right now, but you know, let's try and meet up in something like early summer when you and I've got a block. I've got your email now from the screen, so I think let's park it for now. It's a massive subject, and Phil Jardine's been involved with me talking, and he's been talking to Météo France. So let's try and find some time to talk to each other and see how we can integrate your technological expertise with my guiding expertise and the experience that Phil has had, his political experience in Chamonix. So I'll be in touch with you by email, mate. It's great. Thank you very much for a great presentation, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Susie S is also asking whether you've got Switzerland and the UK on your radar.
Well, we have the Swiss map on both apps, Swiss Topo. We even the routes and hikes and quite a bit of information on Switzerland. On the UK, it is on our radar. We like to talk to OS maps. We do have routes and crags and stuff on Whympr, but it's not complete enough. So that will be a next step. So yes, the UK is. We would like to add more stuff, and I'd like to go climbing there and take any kind of opportunity to go discover more stuff around there. Yeah.
Well, Phil Jardine's obviously quite pleased with your app because he's saying that the open snow map is worth mentioning. I find it really useful on off-piste days. I'm not quite sure what that means, but I'll take it at face value.
That's a new map we added on Whympr this winter. It is part of the free maps. So you have a worldwide map, which comes from the source map box, which is quite good and precise and covers the world. And we added a new version, which is the winter map, which will give more details on let's say ski slopes or stuff linked to snow or glaciers. So yeah, that's a useful one to use during the winter time.
Okay, I've just got a couple of questions really to finish off with, unless anybody else puts some more questions in the chat. And that's for me just to fully understand the connection between Whympr, Iphigénie, and Vamos. I understand Vamos is a printed book, but effectively, you're not trying to create something like Strava where everyone just posts a route. Where you're saying that you're going to be validating the routes. Those are the ones that are going to be posting. And this is really your differential, is it? Apart from the mapping as well.
Yeah, well, compared to Strava, first of all, they're huge.
Yeah, I know.
So we
really.
don't have as much money, but we do have ideas. And so compared to Strava, we are more focused around mountain activities. Strava is more worldwide. Even if they bought FatMap recently, they still have an overall goal of conquering the world, I think. Whereas we want to create a tool to help mountain enthusiasts all around the world. And to come back to your point in terms of the routes, that is one of the key differential. Strava, AllTrails, all these guys say, come create routes, and then we have tracks and we do a heat map or whatever, and more routes we have, the more rich we are. And we say, wait a second, my grandma's going to create a route, or my friend who's a bit of a crazy head is going to jump over a cliff and he's going to have a track. Well, we're not going to put this in our database because we don't know who's posting it, so we consider it as not clean. So that's where there's a lot of work of working with people like, as I said, the guidebooks, or Camp to Camp, or Gulliver recently, where yes, it's community, but there is some kind of a check before they post the information. So we want to, that's the information that you're going to find in Whympr. And the community, we think it's important. So yes, you can create tracks. Yes, you're going to create your logbook. People can see what you did. But we consider the key value of that information is the pictures, is the comments, is someone who did a route today. So tomorrow I can see, okay, I see it froze at 2,000 meters. It seemed like there was powder. That can give me an idea of what the conditions are going to be like up there. So it's a different view of community feedback compared to the other guys.
Okay, my final question was: is Chamonix getting a bit of a reputation for being a bit of a outdoor mountaineering app sort of center? There's this one, and obviously FatMap sort of started there as well, and there was one or two other mates that I've been talking to who were based in Chamonix, who are doing this, that, and the other.
Yeah, it's super funny. For the little story, FatMap is older than us, and Misha, who's the owner, Strava now, but he was the creator. Just in 2 minutes, I was working for Apple and I had the idea, so I was working at night on the Whympr and trying to build my stuff. And my cousin, who's a bit less, let's say, crazy than me, is always more like, okay, Tim, you have a great idea, but how are you going to make money and how are you going to pay yourself? And like, I have a few ideas. And he's like, well, just go ask people who do it and who are making money. So I'm like, okay. And I found FatMap on Facebook, sent a message, found Misha, super nice guy. And I said, I'm in London, your company is based in London, let's meet up. We finally meet up at like 8 a.m. in the morning in Liverpool Street. And just to realize that where I was staying in Chamonix, on the Champ du Savoie, he was living on the other side. So just like, why aren't you meeting in Chamonix around a climb or a ski tour? But anyways, it's funny that, and then later on we were talking, and I remember one term came up where we were like, Chamonix is like the Granite Valley compared to the Silicon Valley. It's true that it's a beautiful place. A lot of people now can work from anywhere in the world. So you do have talents, you do have brains here, you have lots of different characters. And I really believe now with internet, and you're not going to be attracted to big cities anymore, but more beautiful places. So it brings people here. It creates a super cool vibe. There's FatMap, who was sold to Strava. We're here. There's other guys. There's Oak, just recently created a cool app. It's nice, and we can all talk to each other, and there's something going on here. So it's cool.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Well, I've really enjoyed it because I was looking on your app and I had a chat with Phil about it because he was the one who made the introduction in the first place. I just thank you very much for that presentation, which is the last in our session. So we finished on a high. And
thank you.
I'd now like to pass over to Declan Phelan, our president, who's going to have a few closing words if you're ready, Declan.
Oh, hi all. Yes, no, nothing much to say except thank you, Tim, for a really interesting presentation. I'm struck by your comment, the digital age of mountaineering, and how quickly we've all adopted mobile phone mapping. And I was on a recent ski tour, and I don't know whether I should say it, we had some challenging navigation. We didn't take the map out, the physical map. But what I would say is that mobile phone mapping is a bit passive, and being able to navigate to a waypoint and get a compass bearing, whether it's with old school map and compass or a GPS, it is still an important area, I think. But really interesting to hear the innovations that have happened and what the future may hold. So thanks, Tim. Also want to thank Tim Moss for hosting tonight on Reliable Internet. And I also want to thank Cathy O'Dowd in her absence for putting together another excellent, season webinar series. We've had things from performance layering to expedition, alpinism, and have journeyed to the Georgia, Antarctica, etc. So thanks to Cathy in her absence. And thanks all to the audience and to all of the ideas that have come in for the webinars and for future webinars. So keep them coming. Okay, enjoy the rest of the ski season.